Okie doke. So, red letter day. Today was a red letter day. Well, no, not today. Today is a day ahead of the red letter day. But yesterday was a red letter day. And I came out to about 4 different people. Not all together. They weren't all together, like in some powwow or something. Probably would have made it a lot more monumental, but still, um, two of those 4 people were my mother and father. And these always seem to be the 2 people left, or last, I guess one could say. The only 2 people left after the close circle of friends has been told, and you know what I mean, like maybe siblings, or a grandmother, or something of that nature, uncle, aunt. But anyway, so yeah, the mother and father is usually told last, and that's how it was for me. Is the entire close circle of friends obviously knew very much, and my parents knew very little, and this is something I'd wanted to rectify for some time. And obviously, I don't have any videos telling of any kind of backstory or my internal struggle. And to be entirely honest with it, I dealt with 99% of this entirely on my own. I needed no help. It's just that it took me a great long while to get there, and to be able to muster the courage to actually want it. You know, I wanted to live my life the way I want to, and I figured that the only way to do that would be to start telling people the truth. And because okay, obviously everybody's not going to know, so I was actually questioned point blank by my parents probably years ago, um, as to the preference of my sexuality, and I told a lie because I wasn't ready, and it was a really bad time in my life. I was under extreme financial burdens, and my job was not where it needed to be, and I was getting jerked around by friends who ultimately turned out not to be a friend not too long ago. I had to let him go, you know, but he was not helping me in any way, that's for sure. It was a roommate situation and shared bills, and I ended up getting bled dry is the short end of the story. Uh, which that does not create any kind of environment what pays to make a person want to come out. So I obviously, under the financial strain alone, and then the emotional burdens of the emotional burdens, let's say, like the fear of being outed obviously exists all the time for somebody in the closet. It exists, whether it's rational or an irrational fear. And as it's becoming very clear to me right now, it was a completely irrational fear in my particular case, and that's something I'm getting to, but I'm fleshing it out a bit more, as it were. I should probably close that. That's 2 fears. One of them more irrational than the other for any gay man planning to come out of the closet anytime soon. One of them being the irrational fear that somebody's going to out them, in which case that is, they gotta know first for one thing, and they gotta know somebody. Either you gotta tell them, or they gotta know somebody. You know, like, why was you gonna know somebody? But and then there's the other fear of actually coming out. And this one here can be a legitimate one, because I see stories every day. People telling their parents and getting fucked over. I mean, completely and entirely screwed. Getting kicked out or disowned, or they won't even. Fathers usually, I notice this is the case. They won't even talk to them anymore. There's no communication anymore, simply because of their son or daughter's sexuality, their sexual preference. Just because of this, the person that they've known for years, apparently this doesn't hold any water with them. They don't take any of this into consideration. But the people that they've known for years, they completely just shuffle off to the wind. What is that? That's not part of the story. That's not part of what I'm doing here. What I'm doing here is telling people, ultimately, you gotta do it. If you feel as though it's impossible, or that there's no fucking way that you'd ever be accepted in any capacity, because your mind is probably making it out to be bigger than it is. Your mind is over-exaggerating. And all my friends told me this, but all of the friends that told me this were not gay or had any kind of insight, you know what I mean? So I can't take their word as read. Maybe their advice, as it turns out, some of it was pretty true, but this is on a case-by-case basis, and you can't know these things until you're actually there. You can't know these things until you're actually there. So you gotta feel out your parents a lot, or whoever it is that you're planning on coming out to eventually, but will not because of fear. If these particular, if this particular set of strictures is keeping you in the closet ultimately, then you gotta rethink on it. Especially if you're getting up to be, okay, a little bit more backstory. I'm 25 years old. It took me that long. Say what you will, pass judgment if you want, but the fact of the matter is that it's done now. It's finished. It's over with, and I feel a much better person for it. So, obviously, if if I can come up to a racist, homophobic father, oh, what the fuck is this word? Hate this shit. If your father doesn't like gay dudes, or black people, or or Latinos, or pretty much anybody who isn't a WASP, then and you're living in fear like I did for so long, you got to realize that he probably loves you a lot, and the chances of him kicking you to the curb just for one of these things seems consequential. It doesn't come into his mind probably. If he loves you enough and he genuinely loves you, it's probably not even going to enter his mind. I would be willing to bet that the people who get kicked under the curb are the people who have been marginalized pretty much their entire life and have no kind of relationship with their mother and or father. And so it's much easier for them to make the, you know what I mean? But it's much harder, obviously, on somebody who's, 16, 17, 18, trying to come out and looking for support and getting this. That is wrong. That's very wrong. But unfortunately, it does happen, much like AIDS and epidemic and fucking drought and things like this that we can't help just yet. Um, Work on fixing, but there's no 100% solution. But if you're waiting for whatever reasons, first you need a safety net. Have a few people that you can rely on and kick back onto if the worst comes to worst to that. If you feel as though you need some kind of support network to be able to do this, then by all means, don't feel yourself a smaller person for it. And then tell them. Because if you're in a position where you're relatively independent and you can support yourself if you need to, if things go badly, just have a contingency plan, that's all. And then do it. Because you gotta do it. You gotta do it. If you want to live your life any way the way you want to, unless you like being in fear all the time and just experiencing this percentage of the life that you could be, then do it. Go ahead. But it's just now coming to light to me, and it's unbelievable to think what kind of weight has been lifted. It's crazy to think that for years I just sat there and sat there and sat there. Don't do it. Don't do it. Really don't do it. My mother was just like, yeah, that's great, and my father was like, yeah, I knew. What is up with that? Apparently he'd known for a while, was just waiting for me to find the opportune moment to tell him. That man. It scares me to think that somebody that intelligent is that close to me in life. He is very witty. Expert at siphoning information from people that he wants, without you even knowing it. That's the worst part. And so, obviously, throughout time, probably not too much time, not too much time after puberty anyway, he probably gleaned these facts for himself and then, came up with his own hypothesis. So, can't fault him for that. After all, he was right. So, I may actually put this one on YouTube just simply because this could help somebody. I'm not some guy being paid to tell you that this is how it went, because that's how it went. And I live in a place, yeah, there's Bible around here, and there's lots of Bible. Jesus, it's all praise be Jesus, and obviously I'm not all about the praise be Jesus. Thankfully, my parents weren't too much either, but if they are, then whatever. Like I said, have your contingency plan, Billy. But I got lucky, I guess, in that I have parents that love me. And you probably do too, and you just don't know it. But give them the benefit of the doubt. Just give them the benefit of the doubt. Whatever you might think, love wins out. It really does, too. And it really, really... It's got this way of just steamrolling over all these prejudices that people build throughout life. It just... And in that, I suppose, I remember watching somebody else's YouTube video, I can't remember who it was, but they actually said that made them a better person. For you being gay and coming out to them, that actually makes them a better person. It kind of like, it really hits it home, you know what I mean, to let them know that this is taking place. On a first-person point of view, this is the battlefield, as it were, is right here, you know, so it all starts with you. It all starts with you making the right choices, you coming out and your authoritative figure or the person you respect most in life accepting you for who you are. I wish you all the best of luck, at least halfway as good as it went for me, so good luck to everybody. I really do hope that everybody enjoys the life that they should, because that's the way it was meant to be, I think. But it's starting to get really generalistic and fucking idealistic and all the other istics of istic. And mystic, too, probably. And enigmatic. Good word, I like that. So, peace.